Re-Animator, Episode 9, The Lazarus Conundrum Opening Scene, Exterior, Miskatonic University, the aftermath of horror. The city smolders. Hill is gone, but his influence lingers. The reanimated have collapsed, their bodies rotting at unnatural speeds, yet something feels unfinished. Inside the hospital, West stands over a lifeless Megan. Dan is on his knees, holding her hand. Dan, choked up, she's gone. West, she's really gone. West watches coldly, syringe in hand. West, not yet, Dan. Title sequence rolls. Act 1, Resurrection and Repercussions. West has a new theory. He believes the problem with the reagent was never just about reviving the body, but restoring the soul. West, we have been reanimating corpses, Dan. But what if we could reanimate life itself? Dan, you're talking about bringing people back. Not just bodies, but them. Chapman, still injured but alive, overhears this insanity. Chapman, West, for once in your life, stop. She's at peace. West ignores him. He prepares a new injection, refined using his newfound knowledge. He injects Megan. Dan and Chapman watch in horror as Megan's body convulses. Her eyes shoot open, but they are wrong. A whisper escapes her lips. Not in her voice. Megan, unnatural tone. He is not gone. Act 2, the return of Hill's influence. Megan stands, but something is different. She looks at Dan, then West, as if she's seeing them for the first time. Megan, softly, I remember dying. Dan clutches her, overwhelmed. Dan, you're back, you're really back. West watches with fascination. West, this is the breakthrough we needed, Dan. Consciousness preserved. This is true resurrection. But Megan's expression darkens. Megan, whispering, he's still here, Dan. I can feel him. The lights flicker. A shadow passes over the room, though nothing moves. Chapman grabs his gun. Chapman, West, what the hell did you just bring back? Megan clutches her head. Her voice distorts, half hers, half Hill's. Hill, through Megan, I told you, West. You can never go back. Act 3, a city on the brink. Megan's revival triggers something across Arkham. Dead bodies begin moving on their own, not just those reanimated with the reagent, but everything. The boundary between life and death is breaking down. Shadows move on their own, whispering secrets no one should hear. West watches, intrigued. West, fascinating. It seems death has become unstable. Dan grabs him, furious. Dan, you did this. West, no, Dan. We did this. And now, we must see it through. Act 4, the final revelation. Megan begins to remember everything Hill knew. Megan, terrified. He never wanted control, Dan. He wanted to undo death itself, to make the entire world like him. A horrifying realization dawns on West. West, the reagent wasn't creating zombies, it was weakening the boundary. We weren't reanimating the dead, we were letting something in. A deafening noise shakes the hospital. Through the broken windows, the city trembles. The dead rise, not in the way West had once revived them, but as something else. Hill's plan wasn't just to rule the undead. Hill, whispering through the city, I have no kingdom. I have no throne. I am death itself. The sky turns black. Final scene and cliffhanger. Dan looks at Megan, torn. Dan, is there any way to stop this? Megan's eyes well with tears. She looks at West, then at Dan. Megan, only one way. You have to let me go. Dan's hands shake. Dan, no, there has to be another way. West, ever logical, injects himself with more of the reagent. West, there is always another way. I just have to find it. The camera pulls back, showing the city overrun with the dead. But these aren't just West's reanimated bodies anymore. This is something far worse. A new horror has begun. Cut to black. End episode 9.